You know, folks, I was just sitting down thinking to myself, and personally, I think this season of Formula 2 could end up being an all-timer. I think we are witnessing an all-timer F2 season right now. If we're being real, the best season of F2 since 2018 is probably 2020. We had 3 drivers within 15 points of each other at the end of the season. That to me was probably the best season of F2. Yeah, since then, it's kind of just been domination. Russell dominated, De Vries somewhat dominated, Piastri dominated, Drugovich dominated. Yeah, 2020 though, that was a down to the wire season. But this season of F2 might top that. We are looking at 5 people. We are literally looking at 5 drivers right now that could win the championship. The top 5 in the championship right now could win it when all is said and done. Pourchaire is leading, Vesti is second, Iwasa third, Duan, who has had an amazing comeback, he's now 4th, and Victor Martins is 5th. And if you just look at this season, it's kind of been a season of eras, you know? At the beginning of the season, the Iwasa era. He won that amazing sprint race in Jeddah. He won in Australia. He took the lead of the championship. And it looked like it was going to be him and Pourchaire this season. Then we had the Behrman era, where this guy he didn't really do much. Before Behrman won Baku sprint, he only had 2 points finishes the whole year. Then he won both Baku races. Then he won Catalonia. And it was like, all right, this Behrman guy, he might be the guy. And between that Behrman era, we had Vesti cooking. He won the Monaco feature and the Catalonia sprint, and he already won the Jeddah feature up until that point. So Vesti had always been lurking. Pourchaire had also always been lurking, which is crazy. It's crazy to me that Pourchaire only has 1 win this season. And he's probably gonna win the championship. And this is so funny enough, this is something I roasted Mick Schumacher for. I've always been one of those guys that thinks that serial winners in F2 are actually better than the consistent guys. Because as a team owner, just show me that you're capable of getting the job done. Like, consistency is one thing. But am I weird? Am I weird for prioritizing winning over consistency in F2? Am I weird for liking the guy that wins 5 races and finishes like 7th in the championship more than the guy that's consistent, doesn't win but gets, the good finishes? Am I weird for that? Maybe. But I like that stuff. Yeah? But I think if we're looking at the top 6, drivers in F2, they are the upper echelon. They are a different cut above the rest. The two Premas, the 2 ARTs, yeah, Duan and Iwasa. You could probably sprinkle Hauger into that mix. I think Hauger has been pretty good this season, and he hasn't had the best of luck. I think if you scrub off some of the bad luck Hauger's had, he'd be a bit closer. Not that much closer, but definitely a bit closer. And you could even say the same for Victor Martins. Let me tell y'all something, man. I have been Victor Martins' harshest critic all year. Anyone that follows me knows that I have always been a harsh critic of Victor Martins. Yeah, it started in Baku when he choked the easy feature win for no reason. Then came Australia when he was running well, killed Hauger on the restart for no reason, ruined both their races. Then Baku, where he just goes into the wall for no reason. You could even put Monaco in there when he was running fine in P2 and he sped under, I think he sped under yellow. He did something that he shouldn't have done. He got a penalty, a drive-through, I think. He went from 2nd to 8th. If Victor Martins didn't have teething issues at the start of this season, he would be deeper into this title fight than he currently is. And to be honest with you, he is the highest driver in the standings. That's an F3 graduate, and the F3 graduates have struggled. Look at Hajar. Isaac Hajar is in 15th place right now. He has had a disastrous season. I don't think he's trash. I just think, he's just taken a while to teeth with the car. Crawford hasn't really been that great, but even then, when it comes to those sprints, he tends to hold his own. He has 4 podiums this year, and all 4 of them are sprints. But damn it, he's still getting the results in the sprints. Like, fair enough. Maybe translate that to the features next time, which he really hasn't done this season. He doesn't have a single finish above 8th in the features this year, which is very bad. But at least he can hold his own in a sprint, right? Who else has graduated? Stanek? He hasn't really done anything this year. Granted, neither have Trident, and then there's Ollie Behrman, who's done very well, who's very young, and's been on a decent little run ever since, Baku. I don't think he's going to win the championship. He's very far off, and I don't think there's that many races left. But Behrman could. It's not impossible, but he has a very large gap ahead of him. But anyways, there are 3 rounds of F2 remaining. 3, which means 6 races are left. And we have Pourchaire leading by less than 10 over Vesti. Vesti is leading by 20. I want to say, how much points is this? 22? Yeah. 22 points over Iwasa. Then Duan is only 4 points behind Iwasa. Martins is 10 points behind Duan. And then Behrman is 18 behind Martins. Now, the thing is, the way F2 works, there's still a good chance that the guy that's 5th, Martins and Behrman, could still do something. One proper weekend and you could go from no points to scoring as much as 37. A perfect F2 weekend is 37 points. You win the sprint with the fastest lap. You win the feature with the fastest lap, right? So it's not impossible. But another thing is, who really is the best driver in F2? And this is something I've been asking myself all day, and I asked on Twitter, who y'all think is the best driver in Formula 2? I'm actually gonna read some of the answers here. This is gonna be such a hard video to edit, but I'm gonna read some of these answers because I think there's justification for a lot. I think there's justification for anyone in the top 5, really. I even think there's justification for Behrman. But let's take a look. I'm gonna read some of these answers. 56 people responded. My word. I'm just gonna speed through it. Someone said Iwasa, Martins, Pourchaire, Iwasa, Vesti. Who else we got here? Iwasa, Behrman, Martins, Pourchaire, Vesti. Someone said Duan. Someone even said Hauger. I'm seeing another Vesti. I'm seeing Martins. I'm seeing Pourchaire, Behrman. Who else we got here? Pourchaire, another Pourchaire, Martins, Iwasa, Behrman, Pourchaire, Behrman, Duan, Pourchaire, Duan. It's a lot of. Someone said Bald Jack Duan. I agree. Bald Jack Duan is a top 5 F2 driver to ever live. But my word, man, a lot of people are saying Pourchaire is that guy, even though he hasn't won that many races this season. And if you look at his stats, sure, he has 6 P2 finishes this year. Yeah, which probably doesn't. You probably look at that and think he's a choker, but 6 P2 is a lot of points, and that's what he's been doing. Arguably better than anyone this season. One thing about Pourchaire, man, he's literally always up there in like the top 6-ish. He's always in that group. He's finished top 6 every race since the Austria feature, and even then he came 7th that day. Iwasa has fallen off, meanwhile. He's kind of taken a dip in form since he won that Monaco sprint. He only has 2 podiums since that sprint. The feature race the feature race at the Red Bull Ring, which was gifted to him by a safety car, low-key. And he got the sprint P2 in Hungary, which was on pure pace. But Spa, not a good weekend for him. Granted, he got screwed with the quali. But I think the problem with Iwasa is there's some weekends he just disappears. Spa was one of them, not really his fault. Baku was one of them. To this day, I don't know what happened to him in Baku. He didn't score a single point. He had no pace the whole weekend. And that was the weekend when guys like that was a weekend where you could have really gained points because the top guys were doing all kinds of madness. Martins didn't score a point. Duan didn't score a point. You know, Pourchaire didn't score in the sprint. That could have been a weekend where Iwasa gained a lot of points and he had just won Australia too. But it didn't work out. Victor Martins, I'm going to go back to him. He's been in the points every race since getting disqualified from Baku feature. Every race he's been in the points. That's impressive. And it's a complete turnaround, because if you look at him from the start of the season to that Baku feature race, he only had 2 points finishes. Both of them were podiums, but there were only 2 points finishes. One of the non-points finishes could have been a win in Jeddah, but he choked it. And I said, if you take away all the problems, all the silly errors that Martins made at the start of the year, he would literally be he'd be up there in the championship. He would be up there in the championship. There are people that think that Martins is a better driver right now than Pourchaire. Am I gonna say he is? I'm not gonna go that far, but I see it. I don't think that's an absurd take. I think Martins has screwed his head on properly, and he's really showing what he's made of right now, and it's good to see. Vesti. Vesti's another guy I've been a harsh critic on, but damn it, what can I say? I just speed ran the F2 highlights, and if there's one guy that's always at the front, it's him. You take away the DNS, the embarrassing crash in Spa. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't be crashing on the formation lap, buddy. Especially when nobody else. Like, come on, man. That's no. But you look at that. If you take away that, like, Vesti's been solid this year. I can't hate. 4 wins. He has more wins than everyone else this year. And the man's just getting wins. The man's getting wins. You could argue the feature race in Jeddah was gifted to him because of Bierman and Martins choking, but he still won. Monaco feature race, that was all him. Catalonia was an amazing drive in the wet to victory. Same thing for the Silverstone sprint. Decent drive. Vesti's another guy that's just always been up there, man. As a matter, Vesti almost won the Baku sprint. If the safety car was called just a fraction earlier, Vesti would have 5 wins this year. But anyways, what can we expect? Who have I not spoken about yet? Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan, ever since he went bald, has been top 3 driver in the sport. His last 3 finishes are all top 5s. Despite only having 2 podiums before the Hungary feature, he now has 2 wins, back-to-back feature race wins, which is 50 points added to his tally in 2 of the last 3 races he's done. And now he's only 4 points behind Iwasa, who was killing it at the start of the year. It's very important to see what role form plays in F2, man. If you start cooking at the right time, you go from nowhere to right at the top. That's what Doohan has done. And if you look at his finishes, they aren't even really that bad. Like since Monaco, 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 10th, a win, a 5th, and a win. Those are pretty respectable finishes. Yeah. So Doohan could win this championship. And it would be insane if Doohan wins this championship, because no one was talking about Doohan at the start of the season. He was kind of nowhere. So if he were to cook in these last 6 races, he could be the F2 champion. This is one of the closest fought F2 championships I've ever seen. Obviously, I'm rooting for my guy Iwasa, but I cannot pretend like the guys around him aren't demons. They absolutely are. And if Iwasa is going to win this championship, he needs to step it up, especially in qualifying, because we know Iwasa can cook in the race. But you know who else can cook in a race? Jack Doohan. You know who else can cook in a race? Victor Martins. You know who else can cook in a race? Fred, Vesti, Theo Pourchaire. All of these guys are capable of driving to the heights that Iwasa is driving at. He's my guy, and I want him to win. But nothing is guaranteed in F2, yeah? And even if you look down the order, there's some guys in the back that could still win races this year. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Maloney won one of these next 6 races. He's been okay. He's had a lot of non-points finishes, but on the rare occasion when he does, that Bahrain feature, that drive, one of the best of the whole season. Yeah? A guy like Daruvala could probably still win a race this year. You know, a guy like maybe even Arthur, maybe Arthur Leclerc could win something this year. I don't know. Will Hajar finally get his head together and win a race? These guys at the back, they could also be the biggest influencers in who wins this championship. Listen, guys, I think I'm gonna end it here. But mark my words, man, when the summer break is over and we go to Zandvoort, then we go to Monza, then we have that long, irrelevant, stupid break between Monza and Abu Dhabi. These next 2 rounds before Abu Dhabi, man, the most important rounds, these 2 rounds that are coming up are even more important than the last race. If you're gonna win the F2 championship, you need to cook in Zandvoort and Monza. I can't wait to see how it ends. I think we could have a 2010 Abu Dhabi style championship finale. We could have 4 guys realistically fighting for the championship, or even 5. Yeah, I can't wait. I think F2 is gonna cook super hard at the end of the season. We have an all-timer on our hands, guys. Be there. Begging y'all, be there. Intern out.